Okay. I can't help but feel like the lifestyle that it glamorized to us from a young age is such a degenerate one. The music videos, social media, it glamorizes vaping, weed, drug use, guns, hoes, and this gangster rap lifestyle. This is what it glamorizes, and I don't think you can fully comprehend the consequences of that lifestyle until you're older. If you're watching this music, if you're watching this rap music from being like 10, 11 years old, and you're seeing the rappers all dressed with balaclavas on and chains and talking about shooting people up, stabbing people up, and displaying such degenerate behaviour, and if this is just getting pumped into your mind, then when you're that age, it's much easier to make decisions that you will regret in the future. Decisions that you don't realise what you're actually doing in the moment. So for example, you see like 12-year-olds now vaping, and you see little 12-year-olds vaping, and you think, how are you vaping? I was coming out of a shop the other day, and I saw, this isn't a 12-year-old, but I saw someone who was working there on their break, I assume, and they was looking on their phone with one hand and they had a vape in the other hand, and they looked like they was mid to late 20s, had a lot of piercings, was quite overweight, not being rude, but they were quite overweight. They had a lot of piercings, they had a phone in one hand they were looking at and a vape in the other. And when I see that, I just think, you're one of them. Now, what do I mean by that? You're one of them that got corrupted early. Social media can do that. When you don't have a positive role model to steer you away from that path, social media will program you to be that way. To vape, to be overweight, to get loads of piercings, to live this erratic lifestyle. But getting back to the point of like 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, so that was one example of coming out of shop and seeing someone in their mid to late 20s and just thinking, you were 12 years old once, you were 11 years old once, you were just an innocent little kid once. Where did the corruption happen? What happened for you to turn out like that? And they may be happy being like that, but being overweight, vaping, and I'm going to assume they are addicted to this vape, but my reasoning behind that is, if you get off your break and the first thing you do is stand against the wall, look at your phone and pull your vape out and start vaping, you don't even eat, you don't get a drink, you just vape. If you said to that person, if you took that person's vape and said, you can't vape for the next 30 days, they would find it really challenging. And you just know they would, because vaping is one of those things. I've never done it, but I know I will never do it because it is one of those things. It's one of those things that you can think, oh yeah, I'm never doing that. But you can do it once. And then when you do it once, then you're slowly just getting addicted to it. And then trying to break free from that is really difficult. I can imagine, because I've never done it and I never will do it, because I know it's this vicious vice that will get its hooks in, get its claws into you, and then it's really dangerous and really hard to quit. But I can count countless times. I can think of countless times that I've come out of shops, come out of places, and seen little kids vaping. Seen little kids in groups vaping. And I just think, wow, you are making such a decision that is going to have such a detrimental impact on your future. If you start vaping, if you imagine this scenario, I'm going to create a person that doesn't exist. Imagine a 12-year-old boy who doesn't really have any positive role models in his life, doesn't have an older brother, doesn't have a strong father figure guiding him to a correct path. And he's on social media and he's seen these things and he's seen these people glamorize this lifestyle of degeneracy, of vaping, weed, alcohol, gangs, violence. He's seeing all this lifestyle and he's hanging around with people who also think that's cool and think that's good and think that's the trendy thing of dressing in this way, or yeah, we're all vaping now and oh, I want some of this vape, and that becomes the trendy thing. If you think of that person, they were just an innocent little kid, but because of a lack of positive role models, now they start vaping. And when you start vaping at like 12 years old, then you're going to get to like 19, 20 years old, and you will have been vaping for 7 years, 8 years. So now, when you think of that, if you think of then wanting to stop and wanting to quit, if you do something all the time, consistently for 8 years, imagine how difficult and how weird it would be to try and quit that. It would feel so uncomfortable. You would be addicted at that point, especially with something like vaping, something that is specifically made to be so addictive, so you just keep on buying it and keep on having it. So, from decisions this kid made at 12 years old, his life now at 20 years old is basically ruined. He has damaged his health so badly. For the past 8 years, he's basically just been killing his insides, killing his lungs with this chemical substance. And that's just from a decision he made at 12 years old through having no positive role models. I saw a video the other day of this guy, and I think he said he was 21, 22, something like that, early 20s, like it wasn't old at all, wasn't in his 30s, 40s, early 20s, 23, 24 max. And he said he was vaping. He said he'd been vaping for 9 years. And he said him and his girlfriend were sitting on a park bench, not a park bench, sitting on a bench, having a vape. And then they said they went into a Target. He was an American. He said they went into a Target after they'd just been sitting there having a vape. And he said he became lightheaded. And he was thinking, whoa, what's going on? And he started to become short of breath. And he collapsed. He fainted, crashed to the floor in the middle of the supermarket. Ambulance gets called. They rush him to hospital. He said he wakes up and he's just in a hospital bed and he's looking around it. He's looking around and he says to his girlfriend, what happened? And she says, oh, you just collapsed. You just fell to the floor. Then when the people in the hospital, the doctors who had examined him, when they had done the examinations, they said, your lung had collapsed. So this guy, who of course I don't know, but I just see the video, and he's saying, you have to stop vaping. He had been vaping for the past 9 years and he was saying, you have to stop. My lung literally collapsed today. And in the video, he was still in the hospital. And he was like, my lung collapsed. Your lungs should not be collapsing at 22 years of age. But that is the consequence of vaping. And then I was seeing all people in the comments saying, me seeing this video and taking a puff of my vape, me seeing this video and pulling my vape out the drawer, lol. Literally laughing at the fact that they are killing themselves day by day. But I guess that's a sense of denial, of not wanting to accept the position you're in, not wanting to accept that you are killing yourself, you are killing your health, and you are severely addicted to this chemical substance that is made in China for $1. I guess that's just the denial of the situation, not wanting to accept the reality. But I feel like a lot of these detrimental decisions you make can come when you're at a younger age through a lack of positive role models, through a lack of positive influence. People saying, don't do that. This is the path we have to be on. We have to eat clean. We have to train hard. We have to drink water. We have to prioritize yourself, your health, your wellness, your mental state. This is what we have to prioritize. It's difficult, and it's harder to do. It's harder to live that lifestyle than this lifestyle, but the payoff is much better, and you set yourself up much better with this lifestyle. Through a lack of positive role models telling you that message, you then make detrimental decisions that do damage that cannot be cured, cannot be reversed. This lifestyle and this message of discipline, strength, honour, integrity, resilience, delayed gratification, purpose, health. This message is the positive message, and this is the message that needs to be spread to people of younger ages, because the lifestyle that is normalised is just such a degenerate one, and all it does is damage you and get you into things that you don't realise the consequences of. You don't realise the consequences of the lifestyle you are adopting. And here I'm talking about being 12 years old, 11 years old, but even at my age, 18, 19, I'm 19, even at 18, 19, you can start going to clubs, you can start drinking, you might start taking drugs. And based on the people you're surrounded with, dictates if you're going to do these things. So even at that age, even at 18 years old, 19 years old, if you don't have positive role models, if you don't have positive idols, and you don't have positive influences around you, you could well end up doing these things. You could well end up being in a club. You could end up taking drugs in a club, thinking it's just fun and it's just one night. But then it becomes the next night, then it becomes next weekend, now it becomes every weekend. And these things can get their claws in real fast and real deep, because they are really addictive, and that's the way they're meant to be. When the degenerate lifestyle is glamorized, we also need the positive role models who are going to spread the other side, who are going to glamorize the positive lifestyle, the lifestyle of strength and discipline and honor and purpose and delayed gratification. Find positive role models, find people that make you better, find people that influence your life in a positive way, influence your thoughts and your beliefs and your values in a positive way. Find people that make you want to be better. So if you're still watching to this point, thank you for watching. I wanted to make a video, and certain circumstances happen, but I'm on here anyway, and I'm going to continue to be on here. So if you're still watching, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.